Is that a conversation you can have with Netanyahu?
Let's hope that we have a better government.
Is there an opportunity or possibility that Iran will perhaps abandon its child, which is Hezbollah?
Look, we can go back to our corners.
So in your mind, the US, European partners, NATO allies really understand it's important to scale back, turn the temperature down?
Absolutely, yeah. Except for Israel, yeah.
And you think they're trying to do that to Turkey?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Put you in the firing line, if you will.
Yeah, his policies and his government is a burden for Israel, is a burden for region, and is a burden and threat for the international security. Conditions are very clear. There is always a percentage of accident possible. You are asking very direct questions. This is your job, but
it's my reputation.
I know.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining me on the record.
Thank you for having me.
So yesterday we heard from President Trump at the NATO summit saying the deal with Iran is over, and now it seems as if he's walking that back. Walk me through what you're hearing from the Iranians.
Well, I think, to be honest, when we heard President Trump, I think this is our understanding. He doesn't really mean that, the ceasefire is over. I think he was basically referring that there is a retaliation, actually,
yes,
to what was happening between Iran and United States. I think there was a lack of communications and misunderstanding between both sides in terms of how to implement the passage through the Strait of Hurmuz. And I had a phone call today with my Iranian counterpart. I think I have had a deeper understanding of the root of the problem. Mm-hmm. So they need to have better communications and better deconflicting mechanisms.
Yeah. In your mind, are we going to see an end to this conflict anytime soon, given this kinds of lack of communication?
Well, I think at the same time they are learning from the mistakes.
Yeah.
This is for sure. And the good thing is both sides, they genuinely want to have a ceasefire and to move ahead with the peace agreement. So this is what we rely on, actually. But nevertheless, there is always a percentage of accident, possible. And because of miscommunications or provocations and retaliations, so we have to be very careful. So not only Turkey, but the international community and the regional countries, they are a little bit worried about what will happen again, because nobody would like to see the restart of the war.
Yeah.
Because those things were taking place just in the middle of NATO summit here, and we were witnessing the reactions of the world leaders, the European leaders, and the alliance.
Because their economies are hurting quite a bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the markets have already bought that the peace is coming and the strait is open. So the prices have just started stabilizing. So nobody would like to go back to a stress position.
Yeah, no doubt. Tell me this, Turkey is beginning to play even a larger role, perhaps, in sort of not just being a conduit of information, but also finding ways to communicate, be the notch in the belt, if you will, between the United States and Iran.
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, we are trying to do our best, really, because we really believe that peace is the only way, not only for the war on Iran, but in Ukraine, in Gaza, in Lebanon, elsewhere in our region and beyond our region. We need a quiet time, we need peace for our region. So we are trying to do our best together with our friends, and President Erdogan and his government members, we've been working with our neighborhood for over 20 years, and we know everybody, we know the dynamics of every conflict. So I think we are best positioned to really understand and how to help stop that.
So in your mind, the US, European partners, NATO allies really understand it's important to scale back, turn the temperature down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell me this. Except for Israel, yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. So the rhetoric between Turkey and Israel has been rather tense of late. In your mind, will this lead to an open conflict between Turkey and Israel?
Well, I think there is no reason to have an open conflict, just since you are asking, because, But as I've been telling, whenever I hear this rhetoric coming from the Israeli politicians, especially as they get closer to the upcoming elections, from both some opposition figures, not all the opposition figures, thanks God, that are still very sane and good people with wisdom and strategic mind in Israel. Not all of them like Netanyahu and his people. But Netanyahu and some people, as they get closer to the elections, they need enemy. Because after they wage war on Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran, they need another enemy to get somebody pity them and to, you know.
And you think they're trying to do that to Turkey?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Put you in the firing line, if you will.
Yeah. Well, but what we've been telling, Netanyahu, the policies of Netanyahu government is not only problem for us. We are not shying away. This is saying from this. His policies and his government is a burden for Israel, is a burden for region, and is a burden and threat for the international security. We've been telling this for a long time. Not because everybody believes this. You know, wherever you go, everybody agrees with the fact that Netanyahu and his policies is a security threat for international security and economic security.
Do you think Trump gets that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been an evolving process.
Evolving process, and his leadership has a way of, you know, dealing with this phenomenon.
Yeah. When you think about what happens next, God forbid there would be an open conflict between your country and Israel. I asked Secretary General Rutte here at the NATO summit about whether that would trigger Article 5. And he said the president of Turkey is a very wise leader, and I think he wouldn't be baited into anything. But that wasn't an answer. Would you expect Article 5 to be activated?
Well, for Article 5, the conditions are very clear. The provisions are very clear.
An attack on one NATO member is an attack on all.
But our president is a leader of peace and wisdom. You know, when you look at his policies in the region, for more than 20 years that he's been ruling this country, it has been demonstrated again and again. Apart from fighting against terrorism, he has always developed best ways of cooperating with regional government and international community. Because he's coming from, you know, he's been a mayor of Istanbul, you know, in early 90s. Now, he knows the importance of serving people. He knows how people are suffering if there is a destabilization, if there is a insecurity. So he understands the importance of peace. So then we can work on development, the regional cooperation, regional development, and financial stability. So during his term, it has been demonstrated over the years, this pattern. But when you look at Netanyahu, look at his term, almost the same years, always war.
Do you feel that European leaders, that their eyes are open when it comes to the leadership in Israel today?
I hope so. I think many of them, you know, they realize the danger that Netanyahu, policies of the Netanyahu government is posing. They understand this. But they need to develop ways of dealing with this problem.
Yes. Well, they're afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you think about what happens next in the region, what is your outlook? Are we going to see the temperature turned down in the near term? Because it's been very tough on the GCC countries with all of the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz. And then conversely, it's actually put Turkey in an incredible position to really be a conduit of economic diplomacy.
Well, when you look at the powerful countries of GCC, they may disagree on many things, but they agree on one thing: peace is needed. Nobody is warmongering. Nobody is after destabilization in the region. They understand the importance of the peace, especially, you know, after this last episode of the war on Iran. So they understand it. And so why this is important, especially if everybody in the region has the same opinion, so they can have the same policies to act upon it. This is important. So when we come together, actually, we really discuss how to have a new order in our region based on peace.
And this is beyond
commitment.
the GCC.
Yeah, beyond GCC.
Yeah.
Beyond. It covers the entire region.
Yeah.
So, because most of the time in the past, the region was expecting all the solutions from outside powers, from the hegemon.
Yes.
So I think it is time for the region to have to burden the problems of our the shoulder the problems of our region, and to show ownership. And I think this is what is happening.
You are working with Pakistan, Egypt, and
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and Saudi Arabia. But that does leave out some of these other GCC countries. Do you think that inevitably they'll be a part of this group of 4 nations?
Well, in a way, they are part of the discussions, because when Saudi Arabia is talking to us, it's not only Saudi Arabia is talking to us, it's the rest of the GCC, because Saudi Arabia is in constant communications with the others. And so are we, we talk to each other. It's not only
you don't feel like Qatar and UAE are left out of the process?
No. We are just 4 countries from different regions, from different ethnicities of the Muslim world coming together, defining the problem to see how we can own the problem in a very informal and practical way, and then disseminate these views and information with the other regional countries to see what they think, how they feel, to get feedback, then start discussions again. This is an evolving process.
Yeah. And this is something in your mind that's going to be more effective, frankly, than the organizations we've had before, Arab League, GCC, et cetera.
Well, they are too formal. So to have a good decision or permanent decision from a formal organization is very difficult, and it may not be that much effective.
So these are working conversations, working groups, if you will.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell me this. It's an ongoing conversation, I know, about the future of Syria. Obviously, the United States is very heavily invested in Mr. al-Shara. But just a few days ago, Mr. Macron was visiting, and there were explosions under his hotel room. How do you gauge the security of Syria today?
Well, there might be some minor security problems overall, but when you look at how things are evolving in Syria, this is not only my assessment or our Turkey's assessment, but when you look at the other regional powers and international powers, I think they agree on certain things that I am going to tell, which is Syria is on the right direction in terms of consolidating the things inside the country and healing the wounds of the country and trying to revive the economy and trying to attract the people back to country and trying to address the problem of YPG-SDF and the rights of the Kurds and what's happening, what will happen with the Alevite minority and the problems in the south. I think the mindset and the policy framework is more or less on the right track. But in terms of implementation, it is taking time. None of the problems, for the time being, is that big. So I think with the help of the regional governments and international community, the Syrian government will be able to overcome all these existence issues, because it is the interest of the region as well. There is one risk, though, for Syria, is the policies of Israel.
Yes.
So we are not sure if Israel wants to see a stable, good, powerful, evolving, developed Syria.
Do you believe they're actively trying to destabilize them now?
When you look at the past and current patterns of the Israeli government towards the regional countries, yes.
Yeah. Is that something you're afraid of?
This is something that we don't want to see. This is something that we want to communicate to the Israelis together with the regional governments. Look, stop a strategy that sees your security should come from someone else's insecurity and division. Let's change this, in the region. Other countries in the region, when they developed stable and secure, that might also work good for you too. But since they are in the business of occupation all the time, they know that the occupied people have feelings and connections from heart to heart to the people of the region.
Yes.
So that's why they are afraid of the fact that that feeling, that connection is always dangerous for Israel as long as they maintain this occupation policy.
Tell me about what's happening in Gaza, because obviously Turkey was a major signatory to President Trump's peace advisory board, if you will. We talked about it when we spoke in Davos several months ago. Where is that today?
Gaza peace plan, supported by and led by President Trump and supported by us, and as a result we have had a board of peace, and I think it was very much instrumental in stopping the genocide. So in that regard it played an historical role. But in terms of seeing the deliverables that is being promised by the plan itself, especially seeing the people that they are getting enough humanitarian assistance, shelter, and medicine. I think in that part, the plan has not fully succeeded yet. So we need to get more pressure from international community to put on Israel to let Palestinians get more international humanitarian aid. Unfortunately, the war in the Gulf was distracted the attention of regional and international community from Gaza to war itself. So hopefully when there is an agreement or long-term ceasefire between the parties, then they can refocus on Gaza problem and the humanitarian tragedy that is still taking place in Gaza, because we cannot forget about the fate of 2 million people. Now they are in the middle of heat and summer, in open air, and they will go to another winter without shelter.
In your mind, is there a way to do that without sanctions on Israel?
Well, as I said, this is a subject to diplomacy of international community and international organizations and alliances like EU, like OIC, like Arab League, like United Nations.
Yes, who've all been largely unsuccessful. Is it going to have to be President Trump who rolls that final dice?
Well, certainly the U.S. leadership historically plays vital role on Israel. We'll see how it evolves.
In your mind, what's the other potential hotspot? Because we're talking about Syria and the potential for the Israelis to undermine that country's security and undermine that country's leadership. What about Iraq? Where are they today?
Now we have a new prime minister and elected government in Iraq, which we openly support, as we have supported the previous governments, because whoever Iraqi people elects is very sacred for us too. But they have some structural problems that they had inherited from the previous decades. So, and most of the Iraqi leaders, they recognize the existence of those problems, although they cannot acknowledge publicly, because some of the things should be dealt with, behind the scenes. If they being publicly acknowledged, it might cause bigger problems. So, but we need to talk to the Iranians about the stability of and sovereignty of Iraq, together with other countries as well, because Iraq has great potential.
If they can release themselves from the Iranian yoke.
They have great potential, but last 2 decades, as you know, they haven't seen anything but war, occupation, destruction, death. But now they've been going through some quiet time. I think it is time now to correct the things, and the Iraqi politicians, they recognize this. But we need to have a quiet time. They shouldn't go back to the war mode.
Yeah. Do you feel that the Iranians can be convinced to back off?
Well, if we have enough quiet time, we can have a better conversation with the Iranians.
Yeah. When I had the chance for an exclusive interview with the new prime minister just a few weeks ago, he told me about his plans, to cut down on corruption. We've seen him already beginning that across the country in recent days. He also talked to me about the potential to suspend membership in OPEC in order to make sure that they could, produce oil at the capacity that they need to for their economy. And I understand that those plans are in place. In your mind, is this a prime minister that the Iraqi people can get behind? Because he has big ideas, and he says he's not going to be controlled by Iran.
Well, as I said, if we have new vision for our region, I think the actors in the region, they will not act with the old way.
Yeah.
So that's why we need new vision for new action.
Yeah.
So with the old vision, you'll get to see the old action all the time, which is not helping us much.
So you're cautiously optimistic about?
No, I'm just trying to tell what we need, actually, because we need to recognize what we need collectively first. Then we need to act upon it.
Yes.
This is how we would like to move forward. So if Iran feels it's safe, because they've been sanctioned and attacked for the last 3 decades. So I think it is time to have a fundamental change for everybody in the region towards what end? Towards peace, stability, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of every country in the region. This should be our objective collectively. This is what we are now discussing with other countries in the region. Otherwise, with the old understanding, we will get old implementations and policies.
In your mind, is there an opportunity or possibility that Iran will perhaps abandon its child, which is Hezbollah, because proxies aren't addressed, at least publicly yet, in this conversation between the United States and the Iranians?
You are asking very direct questions. This is your job, but
it's my reputation.
I know. It's better to ask this to Iranians. But if you ask me how I see things in a way that should be addressed in a better, as I said, we need to go back a situation where the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of every nation is fully recognized, accepted, and safety and security, because Iran has claimed for a long time that it was like a preemptive security policies that they've been taking by having these, they call it friends, in those countries. So it's a part of the wider security arrangements.
Yes.
Just like the Israelis are occupying the rest of the region as part of the security. But if we get a new security understanding, which will guarantee safety, security, political sovereignty, and territorial integrity of every party in the region with a new understanding, I think it should tell them, look, we can go back to our corners.
Yes.
And let them be where they are and start cooperating.
Yes.
Like a proper nation state.
Yeah.
Because we are in the age of nation states, and these countries, they have their own borders, including Palestine. They have their borders internationally recognized, and they have their administrations, elected leaders. So, of course, the degree of cooperation among the nations and people, no one can interfere that. They are free to have ultimate relations among ourselves, as long as it doesn't constitute a threat to the other party in the region. My belief, Iran is mature enough to understand all these realities. So hopefully, if we reach a peace agreement between the United States and Iran, then we can really start having a healthy discussions, even with Iran, with the regional countries, because there has been some ongoing problems in the region that has been overlooked for a long time, but it was always there, and it created irritants between the parties that would prevent them to advance their cooperation with a mutual trusted way. So I think we have to be frank, transparent, and sincere in defining and communicating our problems this time and finding them a solution.
In your mind, are we going to get a peace for Lebanon?
For that, we need to change the security perception of Israel.
And how do you do that?
Well, we need to have a good discussion with regional and international partners about that.
Is that a conversation you can have with Netanyahu?
Well, let's hope that we have a better government.
Yeah.
To really talk
Tell
to.
me, the United States and Turkey, ongoing conversations about the F-35s. How quickly do you think we're going to see that issue resolved? Because we know that the president has said there shouldn't be any problem about reinstating the F-35 program.
Well, as you said, I mean, the political will there. I mean, the President Trump and President Erdogan, when they came together last year in September in Washington, D.C., even, before this meeting, they decided to remove all the obstacles about F-35 project. So ever since that, we've been working on that, and I think we will reach solution soon enough. So there will be no problem for Turkey to get F-35 that we had paid for long before, 5-6 years ago. We paid for those F-35s. They've been sitting in a hangar. To be picked up by us.
Yes.
But the American Congress introduced an NDA act specifically describing Turkey, prohibiting from doing that. So, but there's a provision there, and I think we'll
you see that being resolved. Yeah. Would we potentially see S-400s going to the UAE, for example?
Well, as I said, this is an ongoing process, and there has been discussions, talks within the government. So there has to be a healthy discussion with the Russians as well, because I cannot name any country or process or type of solution at this moment, because, as I said, there is a political will between two presidents. So Russia should be part of the discussions as well, because this is where S-400 is bought from. Yeah.
I was just in Russia. I've been traveling to Russia quite a bit since the war began. And you see a very different Russia today, to be quite honest. The economics are difficult. The hits from Ukrainian drones are very real. And it's just difficult for people to live now, particularly even communications have become difficult. In your mind, do you see that the Russians are in a much more fragile position than they have been in the past?
I was in Russia last month. I had meetings with my counterparts and some intelligence and security officials, and I was also received by President Putin. And I do this every year. We have bilateral issues and we have regional issues that we need to synchronize some views. To see where we stand on those issues, especially South Caucasus and Middle East, where and the war on Ukraine. I think, Mr. Putin has made it public a couple times that, and he also said during our meeting that he is committed to the Alaska meeting, the understanding that they reached in Alaska. But again, it requires two to tango. So the unilateral commitment to one understanding may not be that much successful unless you get the other party, namely the Ukrainians, to agree on the same very thing. So,
you think we're closer to getting a deal there?
Again, I mean, once we get over with the Iranian deal and war, I think we need to refocus on the mediators from the American side. We need them to refocus.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.